Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's Monday, October 4th, 2021 meeting in the Walkpoint Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. Broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpee.gov/channel18. It is 6:30 and we're convening in open session, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, for public comment, we have Susan Stagel. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Susan Dangle, 762 Cotuit Road. I was here just 2 weeks ago, and I'm back. I just wanted to report back to you all that we were very pleased to see Mike Rapaz's presentation, and at the same time noted that there were no colors around Wakeby. Understand that that is probably due to the fact that we're going to be working with Sandwich for sewering those properties. So we went to this Board of Selectmen meeting at Sandwich earlier in the week and presented the same thing that we said to you all. And they were very open and willing to work with you all. I understand that Dave Mason from the Board of Health in Sandwich will be meeting with Mike and a team on October 14th. So we're hoping that at some point the results of that meeting would be something that might be on your agenda so we could come and see. I just wanted to also put it on public record that we did in fact have another algae bloom on Wakeby Pond this weekend. Although it was not cyanobacteria, it was very profoundly noticeable. The lake was described to me, I wasn't here, but it was described to me as caramel in color, turbid in its opaqueness, and it smelled terrible. It smelled like sewage. So everybody that is a resident on the lake that I know commented on what it looked like. They went out on their boats. It was all over Wakeby, just suspended algae just below the surface that you could see everywhere. It went through the Narrows. I don't know if it went past your house, Andrew, but, and it was also found to be on the shores of, the west shores of Mashpee Pond as well. I think there's a new construction going on with a blue tarp. It was down around there too. So just more to add to the woes of the lake, and hope that we can continue to work with you. And we also met with the Mashpee Wakeby Lake Management Committee. We had 3 members of our alliance show up, and they were gracious to us and happy to have us there to help them in whatever is coming down their way with the pond study, et cetera. So just wanted to report back, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. John?
I just have a, as far as public comment, I just have a very quick statement. Once again, we have people on social media making statements that are quite honestly ridiculous. To make statements without any facts is just wrong. It's very unfortunate that some people read these posts and believe it as factual. Your words have consequences. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, first on our agenda is discussion and approval of eminent domain orders of taking for public sanitary sewer purposes of the following: Antunes Avenue, Christopher Lane, Egret Court, Rainbow Lane, Pine Road.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 4 orders of taking. These are necessary to allow the, or 5 orders of taking, necessary to allow the laying of the pipes on the edge of the roadway.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, John?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
David?
Was there any discussion?
You wanted, I'm sorry.
Was there any opportunity for discussion?
Oh, yeah, right now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if the relevant parties had sufficient notice and opportunity to comment any concerns that they may have with regards to the taking?
I think the takings process was, people are aware of the takings process because they had to either be valued or, do an appraisal or waive the taking because, it was de minimis value. So I think people know about it. Really it's a matter of, this is just the layout of the sewer lines that we approved at town meeting in the spring. So there's no meaningful taking of property here. It's
Just
just
the
the
side.
right to have the easement to dig the trench and maintain the property.
All right, yeah, I was just concerned, I wanted to make sure that folks were
Yeah.
fully informed and aware, had opportunity to comment and address any concerns.
Yeah.
When we go to do that, do they come in for a public hearing, Andrew?
No,
No?
because they all had to sign waivers, we didn't do an appraisal because the value was such, so they've all signed, the owners of the property have had to sign off on the waiver. So that, to my mind, that constitutes consent.
Okay,
Good point.
thank you.
And we're not aware of any objections.
Okay,
They were all notified by certified mail too, David.
okay. That's
Okay.
good to know.
Yes.
Somebody in the back.
I do see one resident that, one of
Wanna
their
come up?
properties.
Hi, my name is Rachel Hicks, and I live at 19 Pine Road. And I did happen to come in here today because my husband had been talking about us having this waiver notarized. And my husband had a conversation with, I think it might have been the engineer, about a month or so ago. And they talked about what they were thinking about going down the middle of the Pine Road to do this, I wasn't sure if absolutely if it was going down the middle of the road or side of the road. But, so when I came in today, it turns out my husband needed to be with me, so we never did sign that, get that notarized. So my husband and I were discussing the possibility of what might happen. And so we have no problems with wherever they put this, on the side of the road or down the middle of the road, although my husband thinks it should be the middle of the road, less tree, interfering with this whole thing. But our question is, will the road be restored to the same way it is now? My husband, we had this road put in about maybe 15, 20 years ago. It's in pretty good shape because there's not a lot of traffic on that road. And so, he was telling me this is how we had it done, 3 inches of crushed stone, 3 inches of 3/4 inch, 3 inch of 1.5 inch, or, and all of this. But the thing is, will it be restored? Will it look like it did? If they go down the middle of the road, will they redo the road, or is it just going to be a patch job?
The state financing that we get pays for repair patching. It does not pay to do the roads curb to curb.
So if it's-
Whatever portion of the road gets disrupted, it'll be patched within that cut. The option folks have, if it's a private road, is to engage a takings process at the same time, conversion. It might be a time that some people might be thinking about converting private roads to public so that, it does get rebuilt in totality, curb to curb, and become a public road. But that doesn't have to happen here. If it's just a sewer installation, it'll be that area that's necessary to bring the road back to the condition that it was in before it was disturbed. If we find there will probably be circumstances where that's problematic and it'll be a little bit bigger repair job if the conditions require it, but the financing that we get repairs to the condition it was in.
So would that mean that we would have a choice and say, we don't want it down the middle of the road if it's going to disrupt the whole road versus the side of the street? Does that give us any option?
All things being equal, I think, in working with the engineer, we'd sort of try and accommodate. I mean, we don't want to disrupt more roadway
Right.
than we have to and
There's
create future
3
maintenance
houses
problems.
on this road.
But there is other situations where there's other utilities in certain roads that constrain where you can go, water lines, gas
I
lines.
see, yeah.
And so, so it all, it's road by road and it depends.
Yeah. This particular road doesn't have any of those. Right now, we don't have any water coming down there. We don't have any gas coming down here. So,
Anyway, that's a conversation we can have with, when he's available
Yeah.
to cite
so
your
so
specifics.
who would be the person that my husband would want to have that conversation
Talk to the
with?
town
engineer.
engineer, Mr. Gallagher.
And this road's a dirt road, it's not a paved road?
No, it's paved.
Is it paved?
She
Yeah,
had
it's a
it.
paved road. It's been paved for about maybe 15, 20 years, which we did privately.
But I'll make sure that he understands, we want the least amount of disruption. That's
It's our,
any road.
it's our interest as well. Obviously, if the cost of repair is lesser, then
Mm-hmm.
it saves everybody money.
Right. All right. Well,
Okay.
that's basically all we're
Well,
concerned
well,
about.
thank you for bringing it to our
Actually, I
attention,
think it might
Rachel.
make perfect sense
Yes.
in timing to put in the water lines and the gas lines. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and maybe you
Yeah.
can make a deal.
Good point. Well, actually, yeah, no, the water goes by the Orchard Road and then Strawberry Lane in the back of us, but not in
Not
front of
down
us.
your road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, David.
Yes.
Yes. All set? DPW Director, Catherine Laurent.
There'll be more of these, by the way.
Yes. Thank you, Catherine.
Good evening. I am here before you tonight first for the annual award of our salt and agricultural byproduct, or safe melt bids for this year. Eastern Minerals was the low bidder, Safe Road Services was the low bidder for the safe melt. This is a Plymouth and Barnstable County bid that we participate in. As noted, there were significant increases for this fiscal year for salt.
As everything else has gone up.
So good. I make a motion that we award Eastern Minerals for the salt bid and Safe Road Services for the liquid.
Second.
Roll call, Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Discussion and approval, a discussion of the pickleball courts.
So I do have some additional information for you all. I apologize for not getting it out to you before the meeting.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mary Bradbury, Recreation Director, is here with me tonight as well. As explained in the memo that did go out in your bid packages, we did look at 3 different options for the site. First option is just to enclose the pickleball courts and bring some administrative offices for the Recreation Department over to that site. The second option would add a large multi-purpose room to the building. And then the third option is to relocate the kids' club childcare that the Recreation Department currently offers on Great Neck Road North. These are our best estimates on what the potential cost would be. I know it's probably a little bit higher than everyone anticipated.
I would say.
It does, and that's why I wanted to give you a breakdown. It's not just putting up a shell of a building. There are other costs that would be associated with the project. We are looking at a completely conditioned space, so you're having to put in electrical, plumbing, heating, air conditioning. There would be site work, parking lot improvements needed. The big building, because of its size, would have to be sprinklered, fire alarm, finishing of the interior spaces. So, as you can see, it is a significant cost, even to enclose just the existing pickleball courts. That being said, there is a fee for an estimate for engineering design, if this is something that the board wants to seriously consider. I think to try to perhaps get a better grasp on what the cost would be, perhaps we do a feasibility study like you have done for other projects. Right now, just because of the unknowns in terms of timing, the current construction climate, just in the contingencies and escalation, I have over $1 million in those costs. So, having a professional come in and prepare some conceptual designs might give you a better number, or more realistic number if this is something you wanted to consider. I also included, as I think I said in the memo, this is looking at a pre-engineered steel building. I included some photographs just showing that does give, different options in terms of what the building would look like. The first photo is I think what we, at least conceptually, were thinking of, that there would be 2 wings under option 2 with a central entry. But there are, like I said, a lot of options with this style of building for finishes. One of the photos is actually a local business. And then, as I noted, it would allow solar to be installed on the roof as well. That is something that is standard with these types of buildings.
Wow. Go ahead, Rodney.
I understand that the Recreation Director has approached me year after year looking to potentially get a community center or something similar into the pipeline as far as the CIP is concerned. My concern is, with all of the money that we are going to be devoting to our wastewater challenges, and everybody here knows what they are, there's only so much. And initially, the figure was around, potentially, and these were all preliminary tossed around figures, somewhere around 1.5 to 2 to potentially cap it. And that was to essentially reduce the noise, and at the same time to cover it up so that it might get
Other use.
extended use.
Right.
But given the size of this, before we got into a feasibility study, I would strongly suggest that we don't even know if the residents in that area would even be inclined to find this acceptable, because clearly this is going to change your traffic volume completely if we were to put everything up there. I'm not trying to rain on any parade. I'm just simply saying there's only so much funding to go around for all of our priorities. And secondly, I think whereas we were kind of taken to task for not initially communicating enough, even though we publicized it, we were taken to task for some people not knowing where the pickleball court site was going to be. I think, to use an analogy that's been used here recently, it's putting the cart before the horse.
I mean, I have you good? Just, yeah, I mean, the numbers are like extraordinary, so, but and I'm not saying I'm an avid pickleballer, so this, there's some positive negatives, even just out of the gate on this. But with this being said, you're talking about the kids' club location, I would assume would be up for sale, so we would sell that back to,
Potentially.
so that would come off this price tag hypothetically. And also, I'm assuming the activities,
Recreation center.
recreational
Or
facility.
the recreation facility.
So, I have no idea, being in the commercial market, those could be sought-after locations.
Good locations.
So, in return, I don't know, you could, I'd be curious to know to kind of dig into this a little bit further. And also, to see a facility, I don't know what the context, I know you'd have to do a feasibility study to get more facts, but, just to enclose it for pickleball, that doesn't make any sense, right? But if you're talking about making it more of a community center type or activity center, I'm all in favor of something like that, although there's a cost that could, change my decision really easy. So again, I like the idea of talking about stuff like this, but I think it might be, especially with talking about wastewater,
We're talking phase 2 in May.
but at least having a discussion, further without going to a feasibility study, just to see what exactly these numbers, what is that gonna get us as far as the left side of the building as opposed to the right side? If the whole right side is just enclosing pickleball courts and as is, that benefits, there's
Well,
so many other benefits in other sports
I
that
think
it could benefit.
we've
so
opened up the floor for a discussion.
That's it.
And, anybody else?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead,
I think
Tom.
it's an awful lot of money. I'm not sure that the location suits for the kids' club or any of those so far down there. But whatever happened to the soft roof system that was collapsible, whether it's sustainable by air, whatever? I thought that was a good solution. It does contain the noise inside. I've been around those tennis courts. It has to be more reasonably priced than what we're looking at here in a hard structure.
Right, so for strictly enclosing the pickleball courts, a dome would be an option. There are pluses and minuses. It is, the dome is sustained by air pressure,
Right.
so you are constantly have, fans that are providing that air
And a-
pressure. You'd need
and
a
a generator,
You would
right?
need a generator. We do not have, currently, there is not natural gas on Ashumet Road extending to the site. So you would be looking at having to extend the utility down to fuel the generator. So there are pluses and minuses. In terms of, I guess, relocating the administrative space, having the public bathrooms, that's probably something that you would still have some sort of pre-engineered building that could be, connected somehow to the dome, and just have the dome strictly for pickleball.
I'm thinking even if there were a bounce house and a soft style roof, at least it would make it usable year round. But
Right.
it's the noise. That's what we're trying to eliminate, is the
Right.
noise.
And you're gonna
Right.
be making noise with a generator to run the.
Right, well,
Right. Right.
I'm not so sure that we need to have a
So-
generator.
so-
I know there's some lighting necessary, but there is power on the street. There are houses across the street on the
But
lots.
I guess because the dome has to have constant air pressure, if you lose power, you need to have that backup generator to make sure you're maintaining the air pressure. So the building, when we looked at the options between the dome and the pre-engineered steel building, the dome is perhaps, 2/3 of the cost of the building cost.
Then
You still have the other associated costs, because now you are completely enclosing the pickleball courts. So you need to have, I guess it would be recommended that you have heating and cooling, just because you're now in a dome, your inside temperature is, you know, pretty close to or even higher than in the summer what your outside temperature is. So to make sure that the courts are usable, you're going to need to have heating and cooling. So a lot of these other costs you would still have even with the dome, but there would be a potential savings on the building itself.
Right. And that's what I was thinking is, obviously, if you can have a high structure there. Location, I'm not sure about, I mean, if it's fine for pickleball, you have the adults down there, and the noise, if we can satisfy the neighbors, the abutters, and reduce the amount of noise, that would be wonderful. I don't know, there might be different levels of soft roofs available.
Right.
I'm not quite certain. You know, and then as far as the generator, we could put in a gas generator there, whether it be propane or a natural gas down the street, I'm not quite certain.
Right.
But there's other options without having to
Sure.
run everything down the street.
David, any questions?
I have to agree with Tom. You know, I think these prices are astronomical. I don't think it was originally the intent. I think this was driven by the sound. So, I mean, just as a comparative, you know, sound walls, you know, 8 to 10 foot sound walls of different materials. I don't know what the cost, if there's been a cost analysis to do that. You know, a freestanding type of pavilion, open floor plan pavilion style covering, so that it is year-round. You know, what are the cost comparisons on that type of structure where it's not required to have the generators and the air pressure and all that? You know, I think all that can be done for much less than what we're looking at here. So, yeah, that's
Like I say,
where I'm at.
it's just a discussion, and we can look into it further and throw some things around. Andrew?
I'm fine if you want to look into it further and try and
Yeah.
refine it. I'm
Maybe get some
happy
more
to have
ideas.
the ongoing conversation.
Yeah, at least we started the
Yeah,
conversation.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm just looking at and feeling very uncomfortable with are the figures.
Yes. Oh, I think we all are.
And no matter how much I want it, and I mean that sincerely, it's not feasible in terms of the numbers.
Not with what we have coming
not
down the road.
With what I have going on
Right.
in May. And then I know that there's at least one other major project forthcoming for your consideration, and this just, it can't fly financially. I'm sorry. Now, if there's grant funds or something available that could change the dynamics, well, then that's different. But to ask the taxpayers to come up with this, I can't advocate it.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, one more. I am curious. I know we're talking about the sound thing, and I don't know if an open air roof similar, and then put a solar array on the top, if that would suppress the sound, if you will, because it can't go, we already have the soundproofing on the walls, on the sides. You know, just like you have behind Stop and Shop, and that, basically like a parking situation, put like that and put solar on top, you could, I don't know, I mean, my guess is, because the sound's gonna go out, it's gotta bounce back, and you already have the sound walls, so retain the sound walls, you know, and I don't know, it's just another thought to maybe consider. I don't, again, I'm not a sound engineer, but if you have the sound walls on the side, and it's an open air, and then you don't have to worry, you don't have to heat it, you don't have to do all that other stuff as well, and we can add some
So you're
solar.
talking about putting like a canopy on
A
top
canopy.
with a solar. on
Canopy with solar,
top, like
and
in the
then
parking.
that will suppress, I'm guessing it would suppress the sound. At the same time, that extra electricity that the solar would fetch, you could divert that, power back to the town. I don't know, just another thought.
just another option, that's all.
And then you don't have to heat it, you don't have to,
Sure.
all that other extra costs and expense, but, I don't know.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
There's a lot to think about
There is,
and a lot
yes.
to explore
And,
here.
and I appreciate the director's indulgence.
I do
Because
too.
I task her with these things, and
I know.
I thank you.
Maybe there's another way.
Good job on that, Catherine.
Okay, discussion and approval of appointments of the following to the Sewer Commission. We got to do this fast, right, Andrew?
Right.
Nobody backs up.
Nobody backs out.
That's
Nobody
right.
change their mind. So, as liaison, just to report, we have 2 vacancies there. We have the precinct spots and then 2 at-large. So there's 2 new members that were met with the Sewer Commission on Friday. Have received an email from the Sewer Commission recommending the appointment of Meredith Harris and Deborah Vaughn. We're moving some people around so that the seats match where people live.
That's perfect.
So,
Well, they always did.
Yeah.
right, but because of the changing people involved. So the recommendation in the motion is to appoint Mr. Towle as member, from member at large to precinct 1. Al is currently a member. Mike Rapaz from precinct 3 to member at large. Mike is also currently a member. And then appoint Meredith Harris to precinct 3 for a term to expire June 30th, 2024. And Deborah Vaughn, precinct 4, for a term to expire June 30th, 2022.
And that's your motion.
That's the motion.
Do I have a-
Second.
And the sewer commission did meet.
Sewer Commission's fine with this.
They
Ms.
approve.
Harris is here.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn is not. We told her she didn't need
Have to
to
come.
come this evening, but we're fortunate to have both of them willing to serve. This will
Yes.
get us back up to a full complement.
Good.
Agreed.
Roll call? Any questions?
I do have one
Okay.
question. Are these, first of all, are the meetings open to the public?
Yes.
And secondly, are they televised on cable?
Some are.
Open to the public, some have been, some are not.
I can't say they all have been.
They meet Thursdays at 2, is there every other Thursday at 2, so the next meeting is the 7th.
I just, when are the meetings held? I don't
2
even-
o'clock on
Is-
Thursdays.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock, so it's, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to, well, unless they play it, unless it's televised and shown repeatedly, it would not be seen. It's just a tough time of the day, and this is something that's important. I think we should have,
I'll mention it to
and
MTV.
and if it's doable, I think
Right.
that
Great
would
point.
make a lot of sense. I mean, it's gonna cost the people an awful lot of money.
There's going to be a lot of discussion. I agree, Tom. I think it's a great idea. It's a great point. They should be all televised.
Roll call?
Yes.
David, yes.
Yes,
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 you are approved and appointed.
thank you.
thanks, Meredith. So get sworn in by Debbie before Thursday. Town clerk. Okay?
Okay, communication and correspondence, nothing? Old business, new business, additional topics, liaison reports. Anything?
A little too early for some, but yeah, I'll hold off. I'll get back to you on them.
Any liaison?
Nothing at this time.
I do at the moment. December 11th will be a time to celebrate Christmas parade. On December 11th at 5:30, it will be in the Commons. And we had our Christmas meeting, and they're getting their papers ready. I think she just sent them into the town for the parade. And we're starting to find our sponsors for the Rotary Lights. Okay, John, any liaison? Andrew?
Nope.
You've had mine in the course of business.
Okay, town managers updates.
Again, another reminder of the regulatory board roundtable meetings, Monday, November 8th, and Monday, December 13th, for anybody viewing. COVID cases, there was one new positive case reported today, total of 26 current cases. No cases have moved out of isolation. And from Mr. Bates, The dredge made it to Wacoit Bay Friday afternoon. And on Saturday, the dredge was outfitted with the equipment removed for the yard work, lines, anchors, tires, etc. And another reminder on the ribbon cutting at Cape Cod Tech on the 8th. And all of the department heads were advised to have their budgets in by Friday, October 1st, and to my knowledge, they have submitted. I haven't looked at them yet, but they're submitted, and the same with the CIP.
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.